It is true. In the end, there is a body. On a coroner's desk, in a gutter, peel-staffed, bent backwards over the edge of a bed, spilling self, swinging from timber in the absence of a chandelier. A body that is a body to no longer behold. A body among trees of bodies, bodies away from which the world turns. After the end, like a god to not be beheld, as it rocks the forest in its lap. As though one should not look a grief-stricken creator in the eye. Trees of bodies unbeheld, then there's you. Not on a coroner's desk, absent from the gutter, sitting hope-stuffed besides a made bed under a brightly lit chandelier. There's you, turned towards the swaying forest, commiserating as your roots reach for the cool stream below, trying, our body still reaching for life's hand. Behold, are you not a body in the end?
Do you know you showed me how to love whilst installing so much self-doubt? You showed me how to see someone, to really see someone, whilst unseeing so much of me. You were in awe of me while striving to get rid of so much of me. Don't cry. Don't cause a fuss. Don't make a scene. Don't show off. Don't be over the top. You're sometimes too much. Don't be silly. Don't get angry. There's no need to raise your voice. Why didn't you say something? I don't think we need to go that far, do we? You're making other people feel uncomfortable. You care too much about what other people think. You think too much. You worry too much. Why can't you just be happy? Stay happy. Stop thinking. Stop feeling. Stop. Stop! I found a place for you. All of you. The currency is emotions, and you are already rich. The entrance exam is crying, and you will pass with honors. All that's inside is to come out. It will float to the surface. You will be surrounded in authenticity. All that is real will be realized. Send your body to your heart. I see all of you now. I see all of you. All of you.
The man fills the chair like his laughter, thick as cigarette smoke in a windowless room, and the Nigerian dances in some foreign country to the cheers of a full stadium. I am 26 years in becoming here. Now, cheering a different Nigerian in a familiar country as he dances for the African Cup, and I fill the chair, thick as cigarette smoke, in a windowless room 26 years earlier, I whip, holding out a lighter's flame. The man pinches my cheek, calls me my JJ Okocha. Here, now, a Nigerian, not JJ Okocha, scores, and I pinch my boy's cheek. Now, here are my father's eyes as I look into my boys. Become, continue to become my JJ Okocha, I tell him. Laughter, thick as cigarette smoke in a windowless room, echoes from 26 years away, my arm's distance to his chair next to mine. A silence I am become, continue to become. Where is my father? I am become, becoming.
The year is 2870, Ahansi, a great place, once red earth, now anaerobic. You are named, a spell is sealed into a future. Mine is Chiragura, after a man who was reunited by an estuary with his husband before a country once known as you siblings were scratched on soil. Now androids with needles can prick Omwiraguju without permission if they must step onto a spaceship to a living star. By your blood, they say I can trace myself back to the people of Unkore. They can tell me that, these robots. They will not sing. No, 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 not this. If they talk so, then they have soul, and I am gone. I become this air with spaceship. Omwaka ni 2026. Ahansi. Itaka niju. Kare eryabire rukutukura hati ritakwisya. Bakweta izina barekura ekirabaho misho. Eryanje nikiragura kuruga ahamushija ayagarukire niba ahamunwa gwakagera. Omwihanga eritwabire turukumanya nkime barumuna bakabatakura ahitaka. Hati androidi ebine mpituruzo nibichumuta omwiraguju bitamushabire orusa. Yabaine kurubata ahanyonyi erukuza ahanyonyozi ekirikwisya. Ahashagama ryawe nengira inti nimbasa kwekuratirira omu bantu bankore. Nizibasa kungambira eki ebebi robot. Tibiraye shongore. Ngaha manya ngutsi. Byagamba bityo biri bine omutima kandi nagenda. Nimba ogumuyaga hamwe n'enyonyi.
I was born a hunchback. My grand aunt said I carried bags full of love, and the Lord pressed down heavy, etching my back. While the years should have chipped away at the weight, I have added more bags, and the Lord has left my back broken. The doctor said the break went so deep it touched my heart. So the hunchback poured, and now I walk straight, my anahata shooting arrows to Ra. My love, it overflows boundaries. It dissects chained locks and hearts. Without the consistent cheer of a lover's company, I can be fun, spontaneous, free-spirited, and wild. I want to discover the gems around me and lure their beauty to your eyes with words. I want to traverse the expansiveness of my mind alone. I am an eccentric firebird, loving on me every day, praying, cleansing, embellishing my body, my mind, and my soul. I am a quiet humming the song of a conch, reverberating with reflection and recollection. I walk tall, I talk less, I love all. I am unhinged. I nourish the needs of my soul.
Kasala ya bwogi omwogi. Ku luberyerye ensi yali njereere nga yeetabudde ekizikiza nga kibisse kungulu ku buziba. Nze obwogi bw'ekyambe obwayawula ejjigi ly'ekizikiza bwe yayita ekitangaala n'ekigambo kye. Naliwo okuva ku luberyerye ng'ekyuma omuweesi kyatannawagala. Amannya agange bwogi. Mutabani wa Nteyafa eyayagalibwa n'aweebwa omubeezi Nabulya omukyala ow'engo anzaala. Ndi muzzukulu wa Kalibbala eyali omupunta. Bwe yamala egy'Abeene yawummulira embaaze mu busujju. Kigambo bwe yasimattuka olulimi lwa liiso ddene. Nze obwogi obumansuka era bwe yakozesa okwawula amazzi n'olubalama, ennyanja n'ezaalwa. Nze eyawummulawummula olukalu, ebituli, ensulo ne ziba. Amannya agange bwogi. Muzzukulu wa Ssepuuya Kibuka Abusalomu eyaweebwa erinnya lya Luwalala. Omulwanyi Namige eyakuba emmundu mu ssematalo eyasooka. N'abakyala n'amunaanika omudaali. Yawummulira embaaze mu busujju bwe yassa omukka. Nze obwogi obutambulira mu mpewo ebikola okuyiika. Nze ali ku mimwa gy'enkuyege. Nze ndi muzzukulu wa bwogi Sawulo eyeebase embaaze mu busujju. Ndi muzzukulu wa Kizza Kironde agalamidde essenge mu Kyaddondo. Ndi muzzukulu wa Bunnya Kangaawo. Ndi muzzukulu wa Ssente za Kajubi. Ndi muzzukulu wa Ssebatinda. Ndi muzzukulu wa Balitema Kajubi. Ndi muzzukulu wa Mugalula Buyonga. Ng'empewo bwe yali tennayiga kukunta, nze nali mu kibaya kya Mukama ng'ateekateeka wamu n'ekigambo kye atutume tusobole okuyuzaamu ejjigi lya yeekaalu.
I give you your hearth of Primrose and John, of Wilden, Hugh and Sandy, the embers of kindness to which you return. I give you your hobs of broths and Scotch pies, tea and square sausage, a spread in selflessness. I give you your table under which siblings huddle to hide from visitors. I give you your wooden home made from the forest it sits, by the man it heads to nest his kin. I give you your forest to roam free, play and dream, a sense of belonging in an assembly of strangers. I give you your river, where stones skim and imagination flows, free from influence. I give you your sawdust, from the mill they labor, a soft carpet to mold and create. I give you your quietness of self, an ear for another, a curiosity at what will meet you next. I give you bright eyes to dwell on beauty as dragonflies buzz from one grass stalk to the next, an abundance of secret finds. I give you your ease to squeeze a crying hand, to see another, to see another. I give you your vulnerability, where authenticity can thrive and connections run deep. I give you your tears to shed in pain, empathy, and beauty, emotions landing outside. I give you your story, where curious egos melt, soften, soften.
Mano fudatidi, woda onyota we kimel te kwaro pa choli, miel vola, and his voice like his stamping feet thundered along with the tudum, tudum dum, filling the air with song and in answer, and tudum, tudum dum, the lead drum thudding, my father, no fudatidi, neno woda ka miel vola, where the men come in single file on both sides of the women, each man carrying his rhythm to the next, shakers on their ankles, feathers on their heads, small drums in hand, tudum, tudum dum, in their chests, and kiwoda, mano fudatiri, miel vola, the man in front of me, passing me his joy as he did life, and I carry the rhythm, watin, tin, watin, when he rasps in his cradle of a rocking chair, language lost to the years, tudum, dum, in his chest, watin, tin, tin, atidi.
Ndi murungi nk'ennyonyozi, nindebe kajje nk'entuuha kandi ninyanka nk'omushana. Nyina obwenje bw'obukozi n'entunguuka, nyina amagezi nk'agaaga kame kandi tihariho ekintakubaasa kukora nk'omuntu. Ruhanga akantoorana yankunda yankuza gye n'obwenje obundi kukozesa okuba omutungi. Nyina itungo lyanje ly'ente ez'enyankole z'amahembe maringwa kandi ezindi kuliisi z'omuli mbarara. Ninkama amate mingi, nincunda amate nyihamu amajuta agundi kwihamu eshabwe. Eyankuriza omubiri gwanje kandi ekampa ekyemerero ekirungi ekyori kureeba n'omubiri oguri kwenjenjeta. Tinkwenda omuntu weena okundemesa okukozesa obwenje bwanje omuntunguuka. Ninyenda ngu nyetare nk'encwamu twebagikomoora aha munaga. Kundakure ninyenda kutunga amaka n'oruzaaro kukanyisa omu bantu omunsi, abagabe hamwe n'abagabekazi. Ebi byona nimbishaba Ruhanga ampa omugisha n'amagara mbihikirize.
So a kasala is a poetic form that's in the form of a praise poem of the African tradition. Either the praise is either for self or for another or the other. And I was thinking about how someone so much into the future would try to trace their lineage back into the past, you know? And I was thinking about the current landscape and all the catastrophes that are taking place and wondering how this human being so much into the future would try as much as possible to trace themselves into a long gone past.
So the Kasala form I interpreted by thinking about it as praise poetry and poetry of placement. So I really thought about what I could praise in myself and where those characteristics have come from in my lineage, in my ancestors. And yeah, the poetry of placement brought up for me the place in which my ancestors grew up and the kindness which has traveled through to me.
I chose to interpret the Kasala form in terms of my experience, especially my experience with my father, and the Kasala form being a praise form of poetry rooted in one's origins or where they come from. I chose to use my experience watching a soccer game back in 1998, the World Cup, where Nigeria went to the quarterfinals, and relating it back to the most recent African Cup and the praising how my father passed on the love for football from that time till now. That's one way I chose to interpret it. The other was through dance in the Acholi tribe, and I try to praise dance as a means of connection between men and women, and mostly between fathers and their sons, especially when fathers show their sons how to dance or they teach their sons how to dance with others.
My poem was called Eccentric Firebird, and it's a Kasala that really celebrates being yourself, being with yourself, loving yourself and appreciating yourself deeply, which goes back to the philosophy of the Kasala as a praise poem. So in my poem, I talk about, I make a contrast between, loving yourself and having relationships with other people, because the current dialogue is that to have a fulfilling life experience, you need to be dating, or you need to be married, or you need to be having an intimate relationship with someone. But what if that person was you? What if you were intimate with yourself? So that's the idea behind my Kasala.
By undressing myself, for so long when we talk about writing, we keep talking about a writer undresses themselves before their reader. And I have been writing for a while, for over 20 years, but for me the Kasala gave me an opportunity to undress myself in form of praising myself, which is almost frowned upon. And yet, when we are belittling ourselves and talking down on ourselves, it seems normal. It's the same thing as a man sitting before the camera and taking off their shirt. In this culture we are living, this society we are living in, is something that's not looked upon with grace. So for me, the Kasala also felt like that. And so I had to dig deep in both my culture and my faith, undress myself and look at myself naked, and then try to find the balance between my ego and the person I wanted to see, and praise that person. For so long, I've always wanted to interact with African poetic forms, and it was hard to find a person who knew any with the knowledge of the poetic form so that they can teach me. And so when I found this workshop, it was just a right fit for me. It was a workshop that was not going to ask me to fit in a certain structure, but a form that was going to ask me to think differently and view poetry differently as a language.
First of all, I wanted to try something new in writing, and the praise form doesn't come very easily to people. You had to sit down and actually look at the things to praise about oneself. and that are rooted in your own origins. And I think it was a good exercise in me getting back to my roots and reminding myself of all the great things that have come before me that have made me me.
Being part of this workshop has shown me that there are so many other ways that we can get our work published in Africa beyond the traditional ways of publishing that demand that our work needs to be maybe in a magazine or in a book. The fact that our work can be recorded on media that's accessible by everyone, locally, on YouTube and orally, that has shown me that there are so many other ways we can deliver our messages to our people without necessarily being published through traditional media.
This project has shown me that I can write and that I am a poet, and that when pushed, I can praise myself.
This experience has taught me that I still got it. I can still write, because sometimes you get so busy and then you think, oh, I've taken 2 years without writing, maybe I can't write anymore. I can't engage anymore as a poet. But this was fun, because the times for the workshop were very flexible. We were able to do the poems and to record and to do everything. So it reminded me that even with a busy schedule, you can still set aside time to write, to perform.
I think the biggest challenge in writing the form was, of course, because praising oneself doesn't come easy. Sometimes it may be taken as arrogance or showing off. And so there's a fine line you have to tread. Know that it's done out of pleasure of one's origins and not as a means of stating that you're above the others who are of different cultures and whatnot. And the other challenge was in the strictness of it, that it is one that is rooted in one's traditional cultures, which means one has to be well aware of their traditions and therefore had to do some bit of research. And if you are going to write in your language, you must get the enunciations correct, you must get the spellings right, you must get the tone right to communicate effectively. But I think I surpassed the challenge. Yeah.
It was difficult to write alone, I'll be honest. Both of the poems that I wrote them with the energies of the rest of the people that we were doing this workshop with. Because, I don't know, maybe, because there's that energy of community. When you're so many, then there's like energy flowing and it enables you to write. So writing the Kasala alone was difficult, but then like during the workshops, I would be scribbling, just having the conversation, feeling the presence of other poets and being in that space also inspires me to write. So that's how it went.
I think this project will influence my work creatively, but I think it's also going to influence me personally and the way I hold myself and the way I talk about myself in a more positive manner.
By undressing myself more.
The Kasala poetic form is a poetic form that has been in sub-Saharan Africa for centuries. It's a panegyric poetic form, so it's a praise poem that was traditionally directed towards dignitaries, warriors, kings, etc. What we've done with this project is reimagining the Kasala and not write for the next person, but write for ourselves. And we did that by placing the poet or the writer of the Kasala first within their own body, within the community they live in, within nature, and the universe as a whole. I think the success of this project has been in the collaboration we had with these amazing writers who had the freedom to reimagine the Kasala as it was presented to them and infuse their own cultural backgrounds and histories and their own flair to it. The idea behind the challenge in the Kasala is not really about focusing too much on its poetics. It's about the philosophy. First and foremost, it's understanding that there is a bad connotation to one praising the self. For what we've done with this project is to center the poet, to talk about the I, acknowledge the existence and the importance of the existence within these spheres, the body, the community, the world, nature, etc. And right from that point of view, in this ever-growing conversation about identity, we felt it was important for one to write a poem that celebrates the self within these many spheres. The hope is that the message goes and meets as many people as possible, to encourage them to look inward, not only reflectively, but to look inward in the hope of finding what is great about them, whether it's through characteristics or whether it's through their own art or their good work, or just the person that they are, and write to the self. Start from there, and hopefully the hope is that it will change how people view themselves and how we view each other. I think the most rewarding thing for me during this workshop is how quickly the writers I collaborated with took to the form from the get-go, and how I watched the form and the philosophy behind it, help them question their understanding of the self and how to speak about the self. And so I'm very grateful for all of them, to all of them for participating and for lending us their talent. And I'm very grateful to all our partners who made this project possible.
Interview 5, take 1. Camera 1, camera 2, sound, camera 3. Rolling.
How did you choose to interpret
To undress myself. I chose to undress myself. That was the answer. And I was going to explain. Guys.